My name is Tressa Nichols. I'm from Warsaw, Indiana. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 6, so I've got quite a bit of skin in this game. My oldest daughter is Reagan. I brought her with me today. I homeschool her. She's 12. I also have Thomas Jefferson, Margaret Thatcher, and James Madison, who are in the public school system. And George Washington and Samuel Adams are not quite old enough yet to be into public schools. But I expect that they probably will be in the public school. I interact with my children quite a lot because I homeschool. It is important to me that I understand what's going on in the school system so that I can make sure that my daughter stays up with the correct curricular standards. I've heard a lot, a couple of examples about the second grade, how wonderful the second grade standards are. And children coming home and talking about how great their experience is and how well they're learning. I have to say that has not been my experience. Last year, my second grade daughter brought home a pre-test for the standardized test that they were to take so that they could do better on the standardized testing, which I thought was probably a good idea. She failed over half of the questions. She brought it home and I was supposed to go through them with her. The questions that she failed were the ones that were supposed to be helping her think critically. And the problem wasn't with her critical thinking. The problem was that her critical thinking wasn't what they wanted her critical thinking to be. One of the questions had 3 rows of balls and 4 in each row. And she was supposed to divide those balls into groups and then explain why she got the answer that she got. And she got it wrong because she divided the balls into groups horizontally instead of vertically. They didn't care that she understood how to get the answer. They cared that she didn't understand how to get the answer the way that they wanted her to get the answer. And it's understandable. These things have to be quantified. We can't just have kids making up all kinds of rules of how they want to do things and then hope that they come up with the right answer. They have to teach these kids the methods to come up with these answers. And when they don't, the kids fail. I don't think that's what we need to be doing. I've heard also that there is no negative impact on our kids with Common Core. I would disagree. There's something came to my attention recently in the last couple of weeks regarding the English portion of Common Core. And we've heard over and over that what you test is what you get. I would absolutely agree with that. Teachers have to be testing or have to be teaching towards the tests. So what are on the tests in the English part? Is that we need to engage in the text. So what they're going to be doing with these English standards is they will take a portion of text and the children are supposed to analyze that text, read it, comprehend it, and then come up with a series of questions that they will need to answer regarding this text. And there is a list of recommended reading that is on the Common Core website. It's on corestandards.org. It is not required reading, and I want to make sure that I tell you that. However, excerpts of these texts are on the tests. And they are telling students that in order to do well on these tests, reading an excerpt is not enough, that they should be reading the full text. Now I would like to read for you some excerpts from one of the texts that they are recommending that 11th graders read in order to do well on these tests. It's called The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. They put it on the same level with Thomas Paine's Common Sense and Shakespeare. They call it, they require these texts to have literary merit, cultural significance, and rich content. Now, I asked my daughter to leave the room because these quotes are extremely sexually explicit. And I hope they make you very uncomfortable because they made me very uncomfortable. Page 84 and 85. He must enter her surreptitiously, lifting the hem of her nightgown only to her navel. He must rest his weight on his elbows when they make love to avoid hurting her breasts. When she senses some spasm about to grip him, she will make rapid movements with her hips, press her fingernails into his back, suck in her breath, and pretend she is having an orgasm. She might wonder again for the 600th time what it would be like to have that feeling while her husband's penis is inside of her. Page 130 and 131. Then he will lean his head down and bite my T's, and I'm not going to say the words. I want him to put his hand between my legs. I want him to open them for me. I stretch my legs open and he is on top of me. He would rather die than take his thing out of me. I take my fingers out of his and put my hands on his behind. These are cases of incest in this book. Next, 148 and 149. With the violence born of total helplessness, he pulls her dress up, lowered his trousers and underwear. I said, get on with it and make it good, N-word. Come on, see. Faster, you ain't doing nothing for her. He almost wished he could do it. Hard, long, and painfully. He hated her so much. I would rather not. And actually, to be honest, I don't know what some of these words are. If our kids are reading it and I don't actually have the words, I have them edited out. But I agree with you. If this is what we're requiring our 11th, not requiring, recommending that our 11th graders read, because it is, again, full of literary merit, culturally significant, and rich in context. I'm going to proceed. Page 162 to 163, this is about rape. A bolt of desire ran down his genitals and softened the lips of his anus. He wanted to F her tenderly, but the tenderness would not hold. The tightness of her vagina was more than he could bear. His soul seemed to slip down his guts and fly out of her, and the gigantic thrust he made into her then provoked the only sound she made. Removing himself from her was so painful to him, he cut it short and snatched his genitals out of the dry harbor of her vagina. She appeared to have fainted. Page 174, the next two. Yes?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just comment here. This is very troubling and disturbing.
I agree.
Rather than have her read it out loud, Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate just to enter this into the record? I think you've thoroughly made your point. I don't think we need to hear it anymore.
May I say that the next two are about incest, and I won't read them. The author of the book, Morrison, says that she wanted the reader to feel as though they were co-conspirator with the rapist. She took pains to make sure she never portrayed the actions as wrong in order to show how everyone has their own problems. She even goes as far as to describe the pedophilia, rape, and incest as friendly, innocent, and tender. Now, I'm not going to dispute whether the standards are high enough. We heard testimony last time that they were not internationally benchmarked, that they are actually lower than Indiana standards. We heard testimony today from Ms. Ritz, Dr. Ritz, is it Dr. Ritz? That she considers the standards, that they really don't know, that they're doing their best to sort of mesh it together and come up with an idea, but they really don't know whether these standards are right. What I would like to talk about is the culture of what we are getting into. This is not the culture that I want my children to be a part of. It's not required reading, but the creators of Common Core considered this recommended for our 11th graders. I have 6 children. If my daughter and my sons have to read this, or is even recommended to read this in order to progress in school, I will take them out of school. This is inappropriate. It is not okay. And this is the culture that we are buying into if we go through Common Core. We don't have to. I will say in the words of another failed federal organization, just say no. Let's just not do this. Let's just say no. Thank you.
Thank you.